Okay, so I'll be teaching a class on Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology. So I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, is it visible, the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So, do you have any idea, like, what do you mean by anatomy, physiology, anything? Okay, if no, you just say no. I think you might not know also because you might not have this class previously. Okay, so actually what happened, my voice is clear, right? You can hear properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
whenever we talk about anatomy,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, anatomy means it is related to the structure. Like suppose anatomy of the brain. That means we are going to study the structure of the brain. Okay, and whenever we talk about physiology comes the function. So what are the various functions that comes? That what are the various functions of a brain? So that is the meaning of the word physiology. Okay, so anatomy is a science where we study the structure of the various parts of the body. Okay, be it the structure of small blood vessels, so any part of the body, be it the structure of the cell, starting from the cell, so we are studying the structure. So that is the meaning of the words anatomy. Okay, and when we say physiology, physiology means we are studying the function. Okay, so in each and every system, you will be, if you see your syllabus, also you'll have so many systems, okay, starting from your digestive system, nervous system, endocrine system. So in each and every system, we have to study the anatomy as well as its physiology. That means we have to know what are the various parts as well as what are the functions of those parts. Okay, so if you say what is anatomy? Anatomy, it is a study of the body structure. Okay, so like I've said, it can be any part of the body. And physiology, it is the science of the body functions, in which we try to find out what are the various functions of the various parts of the body. Okay, then for example, this is a simple example of a liver. Okay, so here the structure, this is the structure of a liver. Okay, just, but the main function of liver is what? It is filtering the blood as well as producing the bile. Okay, so this is a brief example what it is, anatomy and physiology. So anatomy, here it is a structure, and the function of the liver, it is the filtering of blood and producing the bile. Okay, so like this, in each and every system, in each and every organ, tissues, you will be learning about the various anatomy as well as the physiology. So there are some subdivisions of anatomy also. Okay, so we have surface anatomy. So surface anatomy is like something which you can see. Please don't scribble on the screen. Okay, so whenever we tell surface anatomy, means these are something which we can see with our naked eye. Okay, we don't need to cut it, we don't need to visualize it under any microscope. So we can just see the structure visually with your own eye. Okay, so or sometimes we can also just palpate. Palpitation means like it is like touching and feeling the body parts. Okay, so that is called as surface anatomy. From the word itself, it is called surface anatomy. Okay, then when we say about gross anatomy, it is that thing where what we do here, we used to take that particular part or tissue or organs or anything, then we used to cut, dissect it, and after we dissect it, we try to see it under a microscope. We dissect and we see it under a microscope. That is the meaning of gross anatomy. Okay, so in each and every organ also, you'll be learning what are the surface anatomy and what are the gross anatomy. So surface anatomy means those which you can visualize with your own eyes without any dissection. And when we say gross, means we have to dissect that particular organ or that particular tissue, and we'll visualize it under a microscope. Is it clear till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is what we call surface anatomy and gross anatomy. Okay, these thing, introduction thing, this is just for your general knowledge. It is not there directly in your syllabus, okay? But I'm just giving you so that at least you'll be having a brief idea about what we mean by anatomy and physiology. Again, gross anatomy also, it is divided again into systemic anatomy, where you'll be learning the anatomy system by system. Okay, this you'll be more clear when you'll be dealing with all the system. I think yesterday your ma'am have taught you about sensory, right? Sensory organs, yes or no? Yes? Okay, please respond.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, eye is what? Eye is a sensory organ. Okay, so whatever she had taught yesterday, it is under the sensory organs. Then regional means we will try to study the particular parts of suppose you are trying to study a part of the hand. That is like a regional gross anatomy. So you'll be learning a part of only a particular part of any parts of the body. But when you say system means we are going to take the gross anatomy of the entire system. Suppose we are going to take the gross anatomy of the digestive system. That means we'll be seeing the anatomy right from the mouth, right from the different parts of the digestive system. But when we say region means we are going to take only a particular part of any parts of the body. Okay. Then again, developmental anatomy. Developmental anatomy, it is from the word itself, development means it is related to the fertilization, related to the, it can be, this for example is how a baby is developed, okay, from an after fertilization, how a baby grows and develops. That is one simple example of developmental anatomy, developmental anatomy. Okay, so that means how something from a very small, suppose a cell, how from a single cell, how it develops into so many multiple cells, and from there how a new born baby is formed. So just a simple example of developmental anatomy. Okay, embryology is where we study the development of an embryo, or how from that after fertilization how an embryo or a fetus is developed. So all this you'll be learning in more in details in your reproductive system. Okay. Then again, we have histology. So whenever you hear the word histology, it means it is a study of any particular tissue. It can be of any tissue from any parts of our body. So we call it as histology. Okay. Then cytology, like histology, it uses a microscope, but it restricts the study to individual cellular structure. So here, whenever we say cytology, is also same. Where here also will visualize the tissue only, but it is only for a particular cells only, not for all. Okay, only to this. Then when we say pathology, pathology is that study of any anatomical changes. So for pathology, you will be learning more in details when you reach your second year. Suppose, for example, if you want to know the pathology, suppose if you want to know what happens when a person suffers from, suppose in this era, we have the coronavirus, okay? So you want to study what happened to the lungs of a patient suffering with coronavirus. So you'll be studying the anatomical changes in the lungs. So that type of study, we call it as pathology. That means what happens to the cells, what happens to the organs, what are the changes which occurs because of any disease, that is called as a pathology. Okay. So are you clear till now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
If you have any
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
please
Yes,
you can
ma'am.
ask. Okay. So
No,
that is
ma'am.
called as pathology. Okay. When we say pathology, that means it is a study of any anatomical changes. Like for example, I have given you when a person have suffered from any type of disease, so many changes will occur to the person organs, to the person structures. So all those we study in the pathology. Okay, which you'll be learning in your second year. Again, we have the levels of organization. So how our body system, it is being organized from the smallest to the largest. If you can see here, so it starts from the chemical, then we have atomic, molecular, then we have the cells. From the cells, again, we have the tissue. From the tissue, we have the organ. From the organ, we have the system and organism. Organism means human being. So if you see the level of organization, that means how we are being organized, okay, like entirely. So starting from the smallest to the largest. Okay, so if you see chemical means these comes, what comes here, your atoms, your molecules. With these atoms, molecules, how our body is being formed. Okay, so this is the smallest part of the body level of organization. Then comes the cells. Okay, so the cells, it is a basic unit of life. Okay, and it is a basic structural unit of any human organism. So all of us, we are developed from the cells. We develop from any particular cells. So, and about these cells, you will be learning more in details. I'll be taking a class on the unit 1. Okay, in the unit 1, we'll be learning about what are the different structure of a cells, what is there, what are the functions of the various structures, and even the tissues. So all this you'll be learning more in details in your first unit. Okay. Then coming to the tissues. Again, tissues, it is again subdivided into these 4 types, which again I'll be teaching you in your first unit. Okay, we have the epithelium, we have the connective tissue, muscles, nerves. So all these tissues are the third level of organization. Okay, the first levels is your chemical, then the second comes your cells, then from the cells they combine together and they form a tissues. Okay, then from the tissues what happens comes the organs. So organs means what? Organs, it is composed of so many different types of tissues. For example, I'll give you one simple organ is like suppose kidney. Kidney is one organ. Liver is again another organ. So that is the meaning of the word organ. Okay, so it is a combination of 2 or more different types of tissues. Okay, just remember from the cells, because the cells will combine together and forms the tissue. Okay, the tissue will combine together and they will form organs. Okay, and the various organs together they form a organism. Organism means what? Human being. Okay, we are also one form of organism, living being. Okay, so and sorry, after the organ comes the system. Okay, yes, after the system only comes the organism. System means all the various systems which you will be learning, starting from your digestive system. So digestive systems, it is all related to the how the digestion, okay, breaking of all the food elements, absorption, then eliminating in the form of fecus. Okay, so all this you'll be learning all in details in your later class. Okay, then we have the respiratory system where we will learn about the mechanism of taking in oxygen, how we eliminate carbon dioxides. Okay, how with the help of all those, how it helps in blood purification. Okay, in all. Then we have the cardiovascular systems where we will learn about how the various oxygen nutrients are being transported, okay, from the heart to the various parts of the body, various organs, various cells, tissues. Then we have the urinary system where we learn about all the elimination of all the nitrogenous waste, or how urine is being eliminated. Okay, that is also one form of waste which is being excreted, okay, from our body. So integumentary system, we will learn about the skin. Okay, how the skin is the largest protective layer in our body. It protects us from so many forms of infection, injury. Okay, then we will also, apart from this, we have also nervous system and so many systems. Okay, so just remember that after the cells, what comes is your tissues. Okay, then the tissues combine together to form the organs. Okay, and from the organs again they combine together and they function different types of system function. Okay, like I have given the example of all this: digestive system, respiratory system, cardiovascular, integumentary, urinary system. And apart from this, we have so many other systems: nervous system, lymphatic system, endocrine system. Okay, so all this you'll be learning more in details when you go for your further class. Okay, then comes an organism. So organism means it is a collection of the organ systems. So all the organ systems, when they combine together, it forms an organism. That means it forms a human being. Because each and every one of us, inside us, we have so many systems which combines and functions cooperatively with each other for us to survive. Okay, so for any body to survive or to be healthy, we need the proper coordination of each and every systems in our body. Then only we will be healthy, then only we will be able to have a long life. Okay, so all our systems, they always combine together, they function together, and this one, and it helps in our survival. Okay, so we have 6 important life processes which happens here. We have metabolism, responsiveness, movement, growth, differentiation, reproduction. Okay, so all this again I'll be explaining. Okay, so metabolism, that means what are the chemical reactions which occurs in our body. Okay, it can be either catabolism or it can be either anabolism. Okay, then responsiveness is how we are responding to any form of stimuli. Okay, withdrawal reflex is like, for example, naturally it happens. Okay, so all this reflexes, it occurs naturally to any healthy individual. So that is the main reason why what happened when we try to touch any hot, suppose if you're trying to touch a coffee which is very hot, immediately you will withdraw your hand. So that is a simple example of a withdrawal reflex. That means our body gets a signal that whatever you're touching, it is hurting you, right? So with that signal, with that stimuli means it's like a signal you're getting. So immediately you will be withdrawing your hand from touching to on any hot surfaces or any hot liquid. Okay, so that is called as a withdrawal reflex. Okay, then the movement. So for the movements, we have different parts of the body which helps us in our movement. Like this you'll be learning, okay, again more in detail. Like we have the skeletal muscles, so many skeletal muscles, also it takes parts. That is the main reasons why we are able to move our body. Okay, so the skeletal muscles functions a very important part in our body movement. Okay, then even some muscles also, we have cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, these are those muscles which mainly help in the contraction of our heart. Okay, the cardiac muscles, cardiac means heart. Okay, whenever you hear the word cardiac, it is related to the heart. Okay, so the cardiac and the smooth muscles also helps in the contraction. Okay, so till now, are you all clear? No question till
Yes,
now?
ma'am.
Am I too fast?
No, ma'am.
No,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
Yes, anyone have
ma'am,
any
one doubt.
question? Yeah. Yes?
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah.
Ma'am, ma'am, like nowadays people remove organs, like appendix or uterus and all. Ma'am, does this affect the body by any ways?
No. Appendix actually it doesn't have any function in our body. Okay? I'll tell you one. That you also you'll be learning more in your digestive system. Actually, appendix is that part of our body which doesn't serve any function.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so even if you have appendix, if you don't have appendix, it doesn't affect your body
Yes, ma'am.
function. And uterus, what happens sometimes because uterus mainly why we need it for women, mainly we need it for carrying a baby, right? Whenever we
For reproduction.
for reproduction, for
Yes, ma'am.
pregnancy. Okay, so sometimes it happens if a mother is already above 35 or above 40 years, or because of some complication she might need to remove her uterus, because suppose example she have some form of cancer in her uterus, so she needs to remove it, but indirectly it doesn't affect her body function. Okay, she can still function normally, or she can
Yes,
still
ma'am.
be
Okay, ma'am.
healthy. Okay, not like suppose if you're trying to remove kidney or something. So with that we
Ma'am,
cannot
and what
survive.
about gallbladder?
Gallbladder also it can be removed.
Ma'am, and gallbladder.
Yeah, that's why after your gallbladder is removed, we have to
Okay,
at
ma'am.
least
Thank you, ma'am.
maintain some diet. Nowadays, if you know about organ donation, right? Organ donation, like so many, like even like suppose kidney is something which even with one also a person can survive only with one kidney. You know that, right? So if you give transplant one kidney, but you can still survive with one.
Yes, ma'am.
But some organs in our body, suppose the main organ, like your heart, like your brain, that too,
Yes, ma'am, they
we
can.
cannot survive without those. Okay. So certain body parts are there, which is like the main one, like your heart, your brain, your kidneys. Okay, all this we cannot survive without this. But like appendix, like I've said, that actually appendix doesn't have any function in our body. That's why there is not an issue even if it's removed. Okay. Usually we remove it when the appendix becomes very inflamed, when it becomes inflamed, and because of that it might cause infection and it might burst out. And it's very risky. Once the appendix bursts out, it might spread the infection to other in like nearby organs. Okay, so that's why they used to remove it fast. And appendicitis is something which once it occurs, we have to do immediate surgery. Because if you don't do immediate surgery, if it bursts out, then it will really cause so many complications. Okay, so I think I'll proceed. Any more question? Anyone have any more question? Okay, I think no more. Okay, so the next is the growth. Okay, growth means what? Increase in size. So increase in size starts from where? It starts from the cells. Okay, so when your cells will increase in size, they will multiply. Then only you'll be increasing in your body size or your any parts of the organism. Okay, growth, I think you know. Okay, so growth means increase in size. Reproduction, it is a very important natural phenomena where we human being we need for survival, right? Like without reproduction there will not be any more, we will not have any more children, there will be no more future generations. So reproduction is very important life process. Okay, so differentiation, it is development of a cell from an unspecialized to a specialized state. So differentiation is nothing but how the different types of cells are being differentiated or are being differentiated into based on their functions and their structures, or they are being specialized, we can say. They are being kept, suppose one cells and tissue, they have specific function related to contraction, so they are one form of cells or tissues. That is the meaning of differentiation. Differentiation means we are dividing them into groups based on their function and structures. Okay. Then, so this is all about the levels of organization. Okay. So if you remember, it starts from the chemical level. Then next comes your cells. Okay. The cell is the unit, basic unit of life. We all develop from the cells, and from the cells they combine together and they form the tissues. Okay. Then we have these four types of tissues. Then from the tissues combines, different types of tissues combines together and they form an organ. Okay. Then the organs, they combine together forming a system. Okay. So many systems will be there, and the systems again, collection of systems forms an organism. So this is the level of organization of a human being body or a human body. Okay. Are you clear with the level of organization?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
next we'll see what is survival
Yes,
needs.
ma'am.
Okay, survival needs means as a human being, what are the things we need for survival? So as you all know, I think this, even without teaching also, most of you know, only we cannot live without water, we cannot live without air, yes? We cannot live without oxygen, at least we need some nutrients to survive. We cannot live without food for more than 4 or 5 days, right? So we cannot live in a very hot or a too cold or too hot temperature also. Okay, so all these things is very important for a human being to survive. Okay, so starting from the nutrients, the nutrient is something which we eat. Okay, so which we where our body, that's why our diet is also very important aspects which really helps in our health. That's why we always tell everyone to eat healthy. Okay, so you have to always try to eat healthy, take lots of green veggie, drink lots of water. Okay, then eat a well balanced diet. Okay, so we should try to avoid all those junk foods. Okay, junk foods and all, it might, you might feel good from the mouth, but it's not good for your body or for your this one even for your survival needs. Okay, so and the next is your oxygen. So every one of us, we always needs oxygen, because oxygen is the main one which helps in the function of so many of our body systems also. Okay, so we need water for survival. We have to drink at least, if you say like, they always say that at least we have to drink at least 2 liters of water in a day, we have to maintain. Okay, so and if you see each and every, if you know our body, a human being mostly, it is form of almost more than 90%, it is made up of water only, all our body. Okay, so that's why water is a very most important constituent for survival. Okay, then normal body temperatures, because even each and everyone, a human being, there is some specific temperature which is needed for human survival. So if it goes too cold or if it goes too hot, it will be very difficult for a human being to survive. Okay, so we need at least a normal or normal room temperature or normal body temperature, and even our own body also, we have to have at least a normal body temperature. So that's why what happened whenever there is any increase in any body temperature, it indicates what? That indicates that a person is not healthy. Okay, that he might have some form of infection. Okay, so then even appropriate atmospheric pressure, that for frequent breathing and gas exchange in the lung, we need at least atmospheric pressure also should be at least comfortable, or it should be adequate amount of, where you can get adequate amount of oxygen and where all the gas exchange process should not be disrupted. Okay, that means taking enough oxygen and taking out of carbon dioxide. Okay, so if you see homeostasis. Okay, so homeostasis means it is a state of equilibrium. As you can see from the figure, the person he is standing in a straight this thing, right? He is not moving up, down. So this is a state of equilibrium. Equilibrium is a state where everything in our body functions normally and balanced. Okay, so it's like maintaining a balance. So each and every organ inside our body also, we always need equilibrium to maintain the equilibrium or homeostasis. So it is that thing which always dynamic. Dynamic means it always change. It is not like it will always remain the same. So depending on the situation, it might have to turn a bit to the left or it can have to turn a bit to the right. But our body will always try to maintain the equilibrium. Equilibrium means balance. Okay. So a condition of equilibrium in the body's internal environment. Okay. It is a dynamic condition meant to keep the body functions in the narrow range compatible. Okay. So that's why our body always try to maintain equilibrium. For example, suppose if we have fever, okay, so fever is something which is there is a rise in the body temperature. So that is one form of disequilibrium, right? Normally, as a normal human being, our body temperature always remain normal. So in that state, what happened? Our body, how it maintains equilibrium? We usually when we have fever, our body tries to sweat out the heat, right? In the form of sweating, we are sweating. So that sweating is also one form of equilibrium. So our body tries to maintain the normal body temperature. How does it do that? By sweating. So sweating is one form where our body excretes out the heat from inside. So by doing that, our body itself, okay, it tries to maintain the equilibrium or the balance. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just
Yes,
remember
ma'am.
equilibrium means you're trying to maintain a balance. You're trying to stay like how I showed in the figure. You are trying to maintain that balance. Okay, because we don't know in each and every days in our life, our body is not always healthy. We don't always feel good. But there are some situations, even suppose you are too stressed, even in that state also, our body system might be affected when you are too stressed also. So in order to compensate that, our body might have to utilize more energy. So why they do that? In order to maintain the balance. Okay, so everything needs to be balanced out. Okay, so this is the meaning of the word homeostasis. Okay, so even in our body, we have so many body fluids, okay, which you will be learning more in details. So even these body fluids also, we have intracellular fluid, extracellular fluid, okay. So intracellular fluid means these are those fluids which are present inside the cell, okay. From the word itself, intra means inside, and extra means it is a fluid which is outside of the cells. So these body fluids also, which is inside and outside, what happen? So our body always maintain the balance. That means nothing should be more outside and nothing should be less inside. So that both inside and outside, whatever normally that it should have, it should be in that balance, okay? And interstitial fluid, when we say interstitial, it is the extracellular fluid, which is in between the cells and the tissues, okay? So don't confuse with interstitial and extracellular. Extracellular means outside of the cell, and interstitial means it is in between the cells and the tissues. So okay, and the other body fluids, we have the blood plasma, we have the lymph, okay? So this is all you'll be learning, like I've said, more in details later. So lymph, it is the main extracellular fluid which is seen within the lymphatic vessels. Then CSF, okay, cerebrospinal fluid, you will be seeing it in the brain and the spinal cord. So it is that fluid which covers the entire brain and the spinal cord. So it really helps in the protection of the brain and the spinal cord, because these are very important vulnerable parts of our body. Okay, the brain and the spinal cord. Then we have the synovial fluid, which is seen in the joint. Okay, so with the help of the synovial fluid also, it helps in the movement of the joint. Then we have the aqueous humor, which is seen in the eyes. Okay. Then related to this one, okay, so what are the control of hemostasis is constantly being challenged. That means what are the situation where hemostasis, like the balance, how it is being affected, how the balance in our body or equilibrium it is being affected. Suppose, for example, first is physical insult. Okay, that means like suppose a situation, it is a situation where there is some type what happened because of increased body temperature or because of lack of oxygen. Because of that lack of oxygen and increased heat, that is a form of disequilibrium. Normally our body doesn't have that much high blood pressure or high temperature, or even the oxygen level usually it remains normal. But in these situations what happened, the body heat, it is becoming very much more than the normal body temperature. So this is a form of disequilibrium. Okay, so this is also that situation where our body really needs to cope up and needs to try to balance out the equilibrium inside. Then the next is change in the internal environment, such as suppose if there is any drop in the blood glucose level because due to lack of food, you're not eating healthy, so suddenly your blood pressure might go down, your blood glucose might go down. So that is also one form of disequilibrium where our body really needs to fight back, or they really needs to balance it out. Okay, then physiological stress, like I've given the example previously also, how when we are so much stressed with our work, be it in your school, okay, as a students, or us, even us, we are, because of so much stress, that also totally affect our body, okay, physically as well as you can say even psychologically also it affects so much. And because of that it causes a disequilibrium inside our body. Okay, so this is about the homeostasis. Just remember homeostasis, it means a state of equilibrium or balance in the body internal environment. Okay, and what are the main reasons which might cause us disequilibrium is, like for example, any intense, suppose any sudden rise of body temperature like fever, or if the body is having lack of oxygen, or if any changes in the internal environment, for example, is like I've said, if because of the decrease in the blood glucose, okay, because of not eating enough diet or enough food, okay, or because of any stress. So all this situation, it makes our body disequilibrium. And these are the situations, and so many others are also there. These are just few of the examples. And because of these things, what happened, our body have to maintain the equilibrium. So they will try to maintain that, and I will be discussing all those in the next class in the after lunch. Okay, so we'll be learning about what do you mean by feedback system. That means what happens whenever a body have any disequilibrium. So how does our body compensate, or how does it tries to maintain the balance? Okay, so those we'll be learning in the next class about the feedback system. We have positive feedback and we have negative feedback. Okay, so far anyone have any question?
No, no.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so no means either you don't understand anything or you understand everything. Huh? Which one? Hello? Okay, so I hope everyone is clear. Okay, this is just an introduction about the anatomy and physiology. Okay, so I'll be sharing the slides after the next class. Okay, so I'll be taking again I'll be continuing with this on the last period, and after that I'll be sharing you the slides in our group. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, then fine. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mm.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.